Hey everyone, it's Ken here coming at you with another lantern video this week from my cold garage. Yeah, we had another cold snap here in the Northeast, as you could probably tell. Yeah, it's pretty cold in here. So I got three friends lit up in the background to give me a little heat. So excuse me if this video is a little bit shorter this week, but yeah, it's kind of cold out here, and I'm just kind of laying low. Haven't done a whole lot, but as you can see, our star of the show in the middle is the Dietz No. 30 beacon that I got cleaned up and I got going. Now, I'm still having a little thoughts about what to do with the reflector. I didn't try polishing it. Actually, I was going to try some polish. Maybe some good metal polish, some flits, maybe with a little Scotch-Brite or steel wool. And we'll see what happens. Now, I think these were originally painted, as I said before. Did a little research on these. There were a couple varieties made. It does say they were made up until 1947. I think they were made up until. And I don't really see patent dates on this, so I'm guessing it's probably one of the later produced lanterns, because it is in very respectable, good condition here. And yeah, it's got some stamping on the bottom, Dietz No. 30, Beacon Light, USA, but no patent dates that I could see. It was very filthy, had a lot of soot on the thing, so I spent a good time cleaning it up. And the only thing I did notice that was, well, I wouldn't say wrong with it, is these have fuel caps that they're hinged. They have a nice little hinged fuel cap with a snap on it, and it had a very old piece of punky, spongy cork that was on the lid here. So that fell right out, and I was going to try to glue it back in, but looking at it, it was like too far gone. So I had a thought, well, what could I put in there that would make a seal and it's fuel resistant? And I don't know, I thought about it, and I thought about using like a piece of rubber or something like that, or something from a jar, and I don't know. Turns out the solution was right under my nose. What I did is I took my fuel cap from my clean heat, and because this is almost empty actually, it'll be empty in about a week. And what I did, I got a piece of tape in it now to seal it. But what I did is I cut out the liner, the inner liner from the fuel right here that they got. Figured, well, it's got to be fuel proof because it's on the fuel. So what better way to go? Cut that out, and I used some epoxy and epoxied that into the cap, and it's got a nice tight snap fit now, and holds the fuel. It doesn't come out when I slosh it around now. But that's about the only thing I had to do to it. Like I said, other than I'm going to try to either polish this up or possibly paint it, because I don't know. I would probably not like to paint it, but I'd like to get more of a light throw out of it, you know. So I'm gonna go with some polish. But I was going to do that for you today. Spend some time out here, but you could see it's cold out here. So I didn't want to do a whole lot on that. But while I'm here, I figured I'd give you a tip on something too. Something I'd like to talk about. Whilst I was in the middle of shooting my New Year's Eve video, I actually featured my Rayo number 77 in the video. And I went to light it up, and as I did with all of my other lanterns, and I'm trying to turn the wick. I'm turning, and the wick is just staying still. It wouldn't go. So I didn't know if the wick had gone bad on me, had a tear in there or whatever. So just in the middle of, because I was busy lighting up all the lanterns, I just manually kind of grabbed it, raised it up to a position where it looked like it would burn okay, lit it up, used it for the video, and that was that. But then figured I'd investigate what was going on later on. So as it turns out, there's three little gears in, like call them gears. I don't know if they're actually gears, but they're little wheels with teeth on them that ride on the central shaft. That when you turn the shaft, turns the 3 wheels and advances and lowers your wick. Well, I don't know what happened, but every one of them was stripped out. The wheel was turning, but they weren't spinning. So this is the second time this has actually happened to me, and I was able to repair it. And I kind of came up with something that, let me I'll take this apart and show you guys what exactly is going on here that I had to end up doing. Now this still has fuel in it, so I'm probably going to have to just grab a paper towel here. But in order to fix that, what I did is I took my needle files here. I have a good set of needle files. These things really come in handy. And carefully I actually filed a slot on the same plane as where the shaft goes through the burner, because you have to access where the shaft goes through the wheels, which you can't get to just from the tube, because there's actually slots cut into the tube where it just grabs the wick. The only really way you can get to them is by performing a little surgery on the burner, and that's what I had to do. I had to put a slot in here, but fortunately it's above the line where the burner sits into the cup. See, the burner still is able to go into the cup. And then what I did is I took some epoxy glue that I was going to show you. Hold on a minute, I'll be back with the epoxy glue.
1 minute later.
Epoxy glue that magically appeared in my hand. This is what I use. I'm not endorsing them, I'm not endorsed by them, I just happen to have this on hand. I actually bought this from my local marine store a few years ago, because I bought an aluminum canoe and had a couple leaks in there, and I went to my local marine store and they recommended this stuff to me, and lo and behold, it not only fixed the canoe, but this stuff is a fantastic fix for lanterns. In fact, I did a test on it. I glued a piece of the sheet metal that I used to put when I restore these and put new bottoms in. I had a scrap of that, and I did a test. I did a big spotch of glue on there, and I actually submerged it in 2 different kinds of fuel, in kerosene and the clean heat, for 24 hours in a cup of about, I submerged it about 1 inch, it was a pretty good amount over the top of it. Left it for 24 hours and was as hard as a rock pulling it out. It didn't affect the glue. It's waterproof. I guess it's, fuel proof for a mild fuel. But anyway, I had to get in there with a toothpick and put a little bit of epoxy on each side of the wheels. And you got to be careful when you do that too, because you don't want to use a lot, because if you do use a lot, you'll actually seize the whole thing from spinning. But and as it dries, you want to keep spinning and spinning it. But as you can see, when it dries, your burner will perform just as good as new. I mean, you're going to have a little slit in here, but that doesn't seem to affect the operation of it at all. Or if it, actually, the first time I did it, I actually bought myself a roll of aluminum duct tape, and on the other burner that I did, and I actually covered it up. I actually cut a little piece. This I tried just leaving it open, and I haven't had a problem. I really had no problem just leaving it as it is. And yeah, it's a good way to repair your burners. Now, of course, you can get a new burner. Well, or I do believe W.T. Kirkman has some new old stock burners. That would have been my next alternative if I weren't able to fix it. But I think they're around 20 bucks a piece. So yeah, in order to save a little money and keep the original, it worked. It worked fantastic. I got a little bit of fuel on my hand, but yeah, yeah, we'll get this guy going too. Let me get this back together. And it's a cool lantern. Has the marked globe in it too. It's one of my. It's been painted, but as you can see, it's a very old paint job on this. So I decided just to keep it, go with it. But I like it. It's one of my favorite old cold blasts here. So yeah, why don't we just put this? I kind of want to make sure that doesn't fall. And get this going here. You can do it this way, but I don't know. I kind of have small, fat, stubby hands, and I don't know. Sometimes when you pull up on that, it goes to the side a little bit. I tend to just do it that way. For my hands, it's kind of easier, but we'll straighten it up. We'll get it straight there, and then we'll give you a light up on this, and we'll show you. I probably got to increase it a little bit there, but and it's cold out here. My lighter's not even wanting to light. It's so cold. But there we go. And probably going to frost all up on me. But you can see how well works like a champ, just as good as new. So there you have it. There's a good little trick to fixing your burners if you run across that. The other tip is too that on a dry wick, I try not to, if these wicks are dry, I try really not to turn those, because that puts a lot of stress on those. You kind of really want to wait till your wick is good and soaked and saturated to do that, and that way you generally won't strip them out. Or if you do have to change an old wick, what I usually try to do is, if it's dry, I'll take the burner out and I'll just physically grab the wick and pull it through, rather than try turning the knob on there. Just to give you a little tip, it's good to know that, and you could save your burner. But for those of you new subscribers, I give a shout out to everybody out there, and I'm probably going to go ahead on back inside, because like I said, it's cold out here. So just wanted to give you guys an update, what's going on. Leave me a comment. What do you think I should do with the reflector on this beacon? What do you think? A good polish job? You think I should just leave it alone, or what do you? Give me some recommendations, and then next warm day maybe we'll do something with it. But bye bye for now. We'll see you real soon in another lantern video. Everybody stay safe and take care.